Hey fellas, so before we begin the video, I'd like to quickly state that I am not advocating or encouraging the harassment, doxing, targeting, bullying of any individuals that might be mentioned or featured in this particular video. Remember, this is an opinion piece of my particular commentary on the subject matter that we will be discussing today, however controversial as it may be. So, with that all stated, let's go ahead and continue the video.
Hi everyone,
The hell?
my name is Sappho,
Oh no, not you again!
and I wanted to make a video to update all of y'all about what exactly I've been up to and what I've been doing.
Nobody asked, Sappho. I certainly didn't. Why don't you just go somewhere far, far away from me? In fact, you know, I hear Indonesia's pretty good about this time of year. Or how about Pakistan? Or maybe you can even go to the moon? I mean, like, that's a viable option. You can just go to the moon. That's about as far away as you can possibly get from the rest of us. And we're all better for it.
I am very happy and proud to announce that I am the chairman of the first zoosexual rights organization
Jesus fucking Christ.
in the United States and based in North America.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? No more! Where the fuck are your parents? Who are your parents? I'm gonna call Child Protective Services. It's time to stop!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? To Japan, back and actually talk about something else today. About something else? It's going to be about something that we previously discussed. But yeah, it's getting pretty cold out there, huh? Can't believe it's already time for Thanksgiving. I mean, time flies when you're having fun, I guess, but felt like just yesterday I was cutting the grass. Then we had Halloween. Now it's already time for turkey, family and friends, maybe a little bit of football on the side. I have no idea about your particular living situation. Maybe you've moved out and you're out on your own. Or maybe you're still living at home with mom and dad. But regardless of your circumstances, maybe take a couple minutes out of your busy day, give them a call or leave them a text, just let them know you're doing all right. And, you know, actually show up and have a nice Thanksgiving dinner. And if that's not feasible, maybe you had a falling out with your family, maybe you're in the middle of like some sort of a familial feud with them. Maybe you can just call some friends and invite them over and prepare for some sort of a Thanksgiving, you know, dinner of sorts, you know. Obviously, it's not going to be the same as being with your family, but for some furries out there, and some people for that matter, friends are just as good as family members, you know. You're just as close with your friends as you are your family. Which is crazy to say, I know, but like, some people, they have a very weird and jaded sense of what family means these days. But I don't want to get too deep into that. So, you might be wondering why I called you out here today. Well, you remember Hypnotist Sappho, right? Self-made dogfucker, just came out unprovoked, of their own cognition, just bright this video and said, hey, I'm a zoophile. And then they were surprised that all of these people all across the internet were kind of pissed about that. I mean, there was some legit hatred, disgust, condemnation, disdain, and Sappho acts like this is all unprovoked, that she did nothing wrong, that all of these people are just haters, bigots, and assholes that are raining down on her parade, and that she was just being honest. And it's just like, I don't know. The weird thing is, Sappho seems to have a lot of time on her hands. I couldn't help but notice that various videos that would get recommended to me after the fact, Sappho was already there in the comments, leaving passive-aggressive statements, trying to argue her case. And it's like, I'm not gonna fucking argue with a dog fucker, okay? I'm sorry. I don't know if she's actually engaged in that behavior yet. There's obviously been plenty of rumors and speculations out there that she might have access to a German Shepherd. Heavens fucking forbid, but it's entirely possible. But anyway, like, you know, it was strange to me that she always knew if a video came out about her. It would always say the same tried, tired arguments that, you know, she doesn't understand why animals have to be relegated as a status below us, that we can't engage in sexual behavior with them, and that we have to, like, in spite of the fact that we use animals for, like, you know, food and, like, various other means by which we exploit them, I guess you could say, that, like, we can't promote animal rights and that we can't enjoy the same activities with them as we would another human being. And she always tries to compare it to the civil rights movement in the 1960s and 70s with, like, the gays. I'm sorry, sexuality, that was a case between, like, consenting adults of the same gender. There is no comparison here. But I'm beating a dead horse at this point. Alright, so why am I bringing up Hypnotist Sappho? There's gotta be a point to all this, right? There is. Obviously my computer was down for the count, so I didn't exactly have all the time in the world to poke my nose where it didn't belong, but I just, out of morbid curiosity, I visited her channel. I wanted to see what had happened after the grand revelation that she was a dog fucker. Well, imagine my surprise. She had jumped from, like, you know, pushing 3,000 subscribers all the way to almost 5,000 as of the time of recording this video. So either these are people that are coming over to watch the dumpster fire as it unfolds, or they are genuine supporters of zoophilia, or maybe they're just people that actually really like what Sappho does. Sappho, if you don't know, if you don't remember, Hypnotist Sappho, they are a VR chat player who also happens to be a zoophile, but they also engage in hypnotherapy. They are very deep, or at least it would appear based on the content that they've been pushing out. They're deep in engaging in hypnosis with various people. You know, they have a small community here on VR chat. I'm not entirely sure if the admission of her being a zoophile impacted that in any way, shape, or form, but it would appear that, no, she's living life, living large. She's gaining more subscribers, like, after the fact, in spite of the fact that, you know, her disgusting revelation. And it wouldn't have been so bad. Like, it would obviously still be disgusting, horrid, and, like, absolutely condemnable. But no, like, the video that comes out right after her admission is, like, that.
Hypnotist Sappho
Dog fucker
has joined your lobby.
I know I mentioned that as a point of interest in my last video, but still, like, come on, that, whatever dignified response you could be expecting to receive, like, that's not gonna help. So, like, and she was complaining about the backlash. She even left a comment on my channel, and she actually reached out to me on Telegram, just being completely, like, transparent here when I say this, and I was actually going to respond to her, but I'm just like, you know what? I do not see any good things coming out of this conversation. Number one, there's no debate to be had here. She's trying to, like, present this as an intellectual argument, and it's like, well, I am of the firm belief and knowledge that animals cannot consent no matter how many times you say that you can actually understand them, that you, like, you know, will look out for their well-being above your own sexual needs and fetishes, and, like, just no. So I read through about maybe half of it before I just, you know, closed it. I'm just like, I can't do this. No. Like, there's, even the first paragraph was enough to, like, fill me with disgust. I'm just like, fuck that noise. I got better shit to do with my life. Anyway. So, Hypnotist Sappho, they made another video. And the video that they made was sort of a touching base with their subscriber count. What's crazy is that I was under the impression that that Wicker Beast that you saw in her first video where she was coming out as a zoophile, I thought that was her persona for whatever reason. Obviously she has something that looks like a feline as her avatar picture on her channel, but, you know, you have to understand something. Avatars here in VR chat, they're kind of important. It's a very recognizable sort of icon, hence the name avatar, of what people see when you interact with other people throughout the real world, you know? It's not like some people, they obviously go through avatars on the daily, like they go through clothes, but for some people, they stick to an avatar because it is an extension of themselves. It is their idealized self that they are presenting to the rest of the world, or something that they want to embody, or something they just genuinely like to stare at in the mirror. The list goes on. Least bit, it is definitely something that's identifiable and also recognizable for most people. But no, the avatar that she was using was public, publicly available. But because I've seen other people using it, I guess, she kind of ditched it after her admission video. But anyway, no. So she makes this video basically touching base with her subscribers, and she wants to sort of just clear the air, mention what she's been doing, what she's been getting up to. And, you wouldn't be very surprised to hear this, but, well, actually, I take that back. You would be surprised to hear this. She mentions in the video that she came out to her family and friends, which is just absolutely jarring to me, because it's like, could you imagine? She says that she comes out to her family, her friends, and her coworkers. And, my first thought was like, seriously, your fucking coworkers. Could you imagine if one of your coworkers at work pulled you aside and said, hey, excuse me, but, I just want to let you know, because you're one of the only people I can say this to right now, but I'm a dog fucker, okay? I have a proclivity towards animals. Humans don't attract me. Animals attract me. So I just wanted to let you know that. Best case scenario, you would probably stare at them in disgust for 5 minutes and then slowly walk away and never speak to them again. That's the best case scenario of this ending. I could not imagine having that conversation with somebody I was working with, let alone your family or friends. And she, in her words, they were either supportive or they were indifferent, which is crazy to me. I'm wondering how many people she came out to. How many people does she know as far as her friend groups? I'm talking about in real life. Real life conversations are being had face to face. Her family, how are her parents feeling about this? The father's got to be turning and tossing and turning in bed every night at the knowledge that his little girl is going to be fucking a dog. But and let alone the mother. And what about your friends? Who are these friends? I'm raising some serious concerns here about the sanity of the people that she allegedly came out to. All right. I don't think that that's a crazy thing for me to do. I don't think Sappho is being that honest, honestly, but, granted, I don't know who she interacts with on the daily or in passing. But yeah, she mentions coming out to her family, friends, and coworkers. Why the coworkers? Is that, I'm sorry to hold this up, but, seriously, is that a fucking normal thing? Is that, the norm? Do you feel compelled to talk about your sexual fetishes and proclivities to your coworkers? Is that something that you talk about to get to know them or something like that? Is that a normal thing that people engage in? Furries, sure, I can understand that, but still, there's sort of a threshold barrier. You kind of have to get to know the other furry before you're comfortable sharing such intimate details about yourself. You don't just come out about, your sexuality to another person. But some people are more comfortable about it than others. So, okay, whatever. Okay. Okay, Sappho, whatever you say. But no, the video was actually very informative about Sappho's grand plan. What is their grand plan? Well, they seek to start a charitable organization. They have a C501 set up. I believe that's what you call it. It's a non-profit organization, basically a charity, in which case they're going to create a zoophile rights charity organization that's aimed at zoophile rights and recognition, but also animal rights, which is crazy because, I'm actually curious what kind of a job Sappho's holds, because you know, managing, like, she just comes out and says that she's the chairman of this nonprofit organization. Now, you know what it's called? You'll never guess. Zeta North America. Yeah, believe it. Zeta North America is going to be aimed at promoting zoophile rights and recognition, you know, in society, but also for animal rights, and they're going to be providing educational material on a website. It's not going to be like a community forum. Like, Sappho already mentions that there's already a community forum, so there's really no need for that on a primary website. But it's going to be jam-packed with promotional, like, material. They're going to make some flags, probably Zeta flags. Throughout the whole video, as, like, Sappho is talking, there is a German Shepherd that has the Zeta symbol on it that's displayed off to the side. You know, there have been sort of rumors and speculations as to whether or not Sappho is actually in the care of any animals right now. And there's been a lot of talk about her owning a German Shepherd, although that's not confirmed. Serious questions are being raised about, you know, whether or not that dog is being treated well. And if Sappho has had that dog for any period of time, I'm wondering if she's going to start acting on her sexual needs, if you know what I mean. Not to get crass and bullshit here, but seriously, like, it's starting to concern me a little bit. Did I say a little bit? I meant a lot. Maybe I should have poured some whiskey in this coffee. But anyway. She mentions, like, several key figures that are apparently notable figures in the zoophile community, as if they're people that I'm supposed to recognize. Now, what I did recognize is the Zooearthenthal podcast. And if you're not familiar with what the Zooearthenthal podcast is, it was basically a podcast that had its own channel here on YouTube. What they would do is they would talk about, you know, topics of interest that were aimed at zoophiles. Although I think one of their earlier channels got banned. Doug Spink, he was basically joined by Toggle, the rat, and they would both talk about various topics of interest for like a couple hours and then call it a day per episode. Very dry material, and then very disgusting and cringeworthy material when they got to the spicier things. And when I say the spicier things, I mean talking about things that zoophiles would talk about. Things that you and I probably don't need to even hear, let alone imagine. So take my advice, you don't need to go looking into it. But yeah, they mentioned Mike, like, you know, Lycan. Mike is just a well-recognized figure, apparently. Lycan is a community leader. I have no idea who these people are supposed to be at the head of, besides the respective communities in which they are recognized, and that's for zoophiles. But Sigma was apparently a part of the Zooearthenthal podcast and is now the vice chairman of Zeta North America. And, you know, Sappho, they basically seem to have made a call to action that various intellectuals, writers, and creative people that can argue their case, I guess, and, like, promote a community. Everybody that would have knowledge about organizing people and getting together and setting up their own community of zoophiles. They mentioned something like 17 to 21 members, give or take, as of right now. So, yeah, okay, I guess you gotta start somewhere. Really a grassroots effort. Something to really promote the rights of dog fuckers everywhere. God bless the USA. It's not going to be confined to the US, by the way. It's going to be basically, I guess, accessible to other parts of the world too. They want, like, you know, to promote this sort of thing to a wider audience. So it's not just going to be, it's going to be headquartered in the United States, but it's not going to be exclusive to the United States, in case you're wondering. But goddamn, a fucking charity group, give me a fucking break, for dog fuckers. Like, meanwhile, you already know my concerns about the present condition of our present society. Isn't there, like, bigger issues here than the right to fuck your dog? Number one. Number two, like, absolutely abhorrent, like, you know, cause that you're taking up. There's laws against that, but I guess they want to change that. So why is Sappho doing this now? And my question is, how much time do they have in the day to be able to, like, spearhead this effort? And why are they, like, basically acting like this is their grand plan? This is their saving grace. This is the thing that's they're going to dedicate themselves to and absolutely jump head first, head to toe, just go full force, all steam ahead. Well, you know, I can't help but notice, but zoophiles seem to have this bad habit of trying to not only argue their case that they are in the right, that they have the right to engage in love with animals, you know, regardless of what society thinks about it, but they seem to want to normalize that sort of behavior. They want to set a standard by which that you and I, we're just going to be completely complicit, unaware, and not even care, like, in the world that this is going on, and not react so adversely as we've been doing. But I consider that to be cruelty to animals, and fuck Sappho for thinking that what they're doing is completely okay. And, you know, I was... Oh, fuck. Oh, man, dropped my coffee. Good thing that didn't spill everywhere. Anyway. So, one thing I wanted to say is, like... One, Sappho supposedly went to therapy. Alright? Allegedly went to therapy. They went to therapy. They spoke to a psychologist or a therapist. I know there's a big difference between the two. I don't remember off the top of my head, and I don't really care enough about Sappho to go back, but they were at least talking to somebody. And by her own admission, said somebody was completely okay with her being a dog fucker. No, that's not how that works, okay? Also, a friend of mine, somebody I've been in contact with, and just, you know, mentioned this. The fact that Sappho mentions that they went to a therapist or a psychologist, isn't that sort of an admission, like a self-admission? You are admitting that you have a problem, a mental problem that needs professional help, something that you can, you know, feasibly go to somebody and try to work on getting fixed. Some people seek counseling, they seek therapy, they seek somebody that they can share their most deepest, intimate problems with for that person to presumably help them, or at least get them into a state of normalcy. So, internally, I'm starting to think that Sappho kind of was aware that they had a problem. Whether or not they kept up with that therapy session or whatever the fuck she was talking about, because the story kind of changes a little bit, you know. Every time that you they say something and you talk to them. I mean, Coyote Lovely, I already talked about him. He talked to Sappho to great length, partly because she reached out to him, and you know, he already came out with some sort of revelations about her mode of character. She'll get all sugary, buttery sweet with you until you don't, like, concede or, you know, give her her way. And then she'll become kind of bitter and mean and kind of a bitch, in my opinion. But, you know, that's par for the course with these sorts of people, you know? They want you to shut up, sit down, let them do what they want to do, and not have to face any of the repercussions or backlash from the rest of society about their sick fetishes. I mean, just look at Kira the Wolf. He lost his entire YouTube career from actions that he had engaged in, you know, years ago that caught up with him today. Anyway, I think we're about due for a change of scenery. All right. You know, thinking about it, I remember in a prior video, Hypnotist Sappho just comes out and makes this statement. You know, basically explaining why she's into animals versus humans, more specifically dogs, but I'm sure you already guessed that. There was a certain statement that she comes out with. She's just saying, you know, dogs aren't two-faced like humans are. And it led me to believe that, you know, she basically revealed the fact that she had an interest towards animals in a sexual way, and that somebody judged her harshly for it, you know? That she felt like she was castigated, unfairly judged, that she was backstabbed, that she was betrayed, and that from that point onwards, she didn't like humans. She didn't like the fact that we are oh so complicated creatures, which we are. I mean, like, factor in emotions and how irrational people can get. Come on now. Like, somebody with a simplified outlook on life is not going to be able to handle, you know, the variety of so many different emotions and Basically the endless, possibilities about how somebody's going to react or behave in a certain situation or, set of circumstances. But maybe I'm not giving Hypnotist Sappho enough credit here. Maybe there's some validity to the arguments that she brings to the table. I mean, think about it. Like, Hypnotist Sappho, maybe she's some sort of a supernatural being, that she has some sort of grandstand ability that you or I cannot even aspire to, that sets her a little bit above you or I. She has some sort of gift, as it were. Maybe Hypnotist Sappho is a dog whisperer. Maybe she can actually have a profound understanding and comprehension about communicating with animals. I mean, think about it. I mean, like, it's a possibility. Like, let's not look a gift horse in the mouth here. Speaking of horses, I'm not sure if you ever remembered playing The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Todd Howard. Like, you can be the hero of the story. You can do the quest. You can climb the mountain. You can beat the game and get one of 1,500 endings, even though there's only 3. And like, that Elder Scrolls Oblivion. All right, so I was playing as a Khajiit once. One playthrough, being a self-respecting furry as I am, I decided I was going to go out there and be a Khajiit. And Khajiit are basically cat people. And if you don't know what Khajiit are known for, Khajiit are infamously known for stealing things and then feigning innocence after the fact when they get caught. But, me being a self-respecting furry as I am, I decided to be a Khajiit. I'm going to be the best damn Khajiit I could be. I'm going to steal shit. So I go into a town and I swiped something. I made a fatal mistake that day. A horse was watching me. And if you don't know, for whatever reason, if an animal in that game spots you doing something bad, the entire town's going to be aware of it. And it was upon that day, as the entire town around me aggroed and came at me with pitchforks, swords, and daggers and fists drawn, I was just sort of like begging the question, who the fuck accepted all of these horse whisperers into our community? So that's what I'm trying to say here. Maybe Hypnotist Sappho is actually a dog whisperer, and she can actually communicate and understand animals better than we can. Jokes aside, Hypnotist Sappho has, like, what are the ramifications of everything I mentioned when we were back at the cabin? Well, I already basically explained it all, but you gotta bear in mind the synopsis, the condensed version of all this. They are the chairman of Zeta North America. In fact, in some of the comments that I've seen from then to now, they have basically said that they're a fully incorporated entity, and while the paperwork might still be processing, they're a legally recognized nonprofit organization. Allegedly. And that from this point onwards, it's all legally binding, that they are about ready to be accepting donations. Something that bothered me about the video is that Sappho, as if to, like, convince herself, she kept repeating, it's very important that I don't screw this up, that I proceed forward. It was almost kind of creepy. Like, she mentioned, like, 3, 4, 5 times. And I'm just like, okay, like, I understand this is very important to you, but, like, what are the circumstances here for you screwing up? I mean, it's almost like they have to be above 110% because they know at the back of their minds that the entirety of the internet is going to be crashing down on them at all times of the day. I mean, I can only imagine what the boys in Kiwi Farms are probably thinking right now, but, like, in response to Hypnotist Sappho. But come on now. Like, Hypnotist Sappho already got the taste that she was apparently not even expecting of the internet's backlash in response to all this. So, getting this nonprofit organization off the ground and in operation, that is a lot of, liability right there in the making. Like, everything that you do from that point onward is going to be judged and, like, studied through a microscopic lens. But here's the thing. If she actually is the chairman and she's actually gone through with this, if it actually is a legally recognized entity, that means that she would have had to put her name out there, that this is going to be something that's going to be public. I don't know how she got around that besides making a fake identity or using a pseudonym, but that her docs is going to be publicly available. That's just a par for the course if you're like going to be the person, the chairman of like the whatever nonprofit organization. You're gonna have to make a lot of things about yourself public, otherwise people might get a little bit nervous when they start donating money and they're like kind of curious if that money is going to where you say it's supposed to go to. I'm just saying how, nonprofit charity organizations operate, because, people are going to be questioning that sort of thing. There will be audits in accepting money, donations, monetary donations from other parties. I don't know why she thinks that she's just going to be able to skirt on by without any notice or even scrutiny from the rest of the internet, but that's how she seems to be operating right now. So, okay. Good luck with your dogfucker rights activist organization promoting, the rights of zoophiles everywhere, zoophilia, promoting that. Anyway, is it at all possible that Hypnotist Sappho is trying to, and this is just my speculation, so don't, I will join this with some rumors, speculation, and evidence. I say evidence in quotes because it's basically the testimony of somebody that had an inside look at Hypnotist Sapphos' Discord server, but we'll get to that in a minute. Is it at all possible that Hypnotist Sappho is trying to facilitate the conditions by which zoophilia will be actively accepted or at least tolerated, legally tolerated by the rest of society? Is this a possibility here? I mean, just making educational materials freely available for the masses internationally, and trying to promote zoophile rights and shit like that. Is it at all possible that she's trying to indoctrinate or pose the possibility of indoctrination towards younger audiences, those that might not know any better, or those that might be actively in support of this sort of direction? Is that a possibility here? I'm starting to think it is. Because the number one thing that I've noticed by zoophiles is that they want to insist and assert. I was about to say insert, but I think insert is pertaining to something else that they do. They want to assert that they are completely normal and valid, and that you need to accept that there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, and that you're in the wrong for even thinking it's a problem. Pardon me for being sane. That's just something that I see, and I never see tangible arguments being made here. I never see some sort of an esoteric knowledge that they're sharing with you, or some sense of enlightenment. It's always this smug satisfaction that they're right, you're wrong, and that you just need to accept them for who they are. And then they make those lame brain arguments about comparing themselves to the gays back in the 60s and 70s and their struggles, and trying to make a false equivocation there. It ain't happening. But there was a small-time YouTuber, I think I watched it a couple days ago, Joe Coon. They have a couple hundred subscribers. They put a lot of work into this video, but they got the deets, alright? They collected some material, they poured over it, they sort of weighed Hypnotist Sapphos' activities online, and they also had an interview with somebody from VRChat. Now, this individual, I'm just going to call him Joe as a pseudonym, but from what I can remember, they adopted a generic military avatar, special forces operative looking guy. And it reminded me of Unsolved Mysteries when I was a kid, where they would have a guest speaker or a witness to some sort of a crime or a mystery that had taken place. And they would obscure their face with shadow, and they would put some sort of a filter over their voice to distort it, So it would sound ridiculously deep. It's no, I know what really happened that day. He comes out, and he's only willing to speak on the condition of anonymity, which tells me that he quite possibly has some sort of a deeper relationship with Sappho. But by his own words, he had a friend that regularly engaged with Sappho and shed some light on operations of the server. It gets really monotonous to listen to, but for the most part, the synopsis, the extrapolation that I got from that whole interview is that Hypnosis Sappho appeared to have minors in their Discord server, and like it wasn't until their activities had become public knowledge, or at least I should say their admission that they were a zoophile, had become more or less common knowledge by their own volition, that people, like, the changes affected the server. For instance, you had minors there that had access to questionable materials like NSFW content, maybe even some furry porn. It wasn't until after the admission of them being a zoophile that they seemed to batten down the hatches, that any minors that were still there would no longer have access to NSFW content. And, you know, obviously a lot of them were, like, complaining about the change, and they were saying how, like, man, this is the only place I could have gotten that material, and now I can't get it, and what's the point of me even being here? It tells me that it wasn't until it started to make them look bad publicly did they act. You know, up to that point, they were completely either indifferent or just didn't care enough about, you know, what it would look like to a greater or wider audience, and just kind of let it fly until it started to make them look bad. It was like, I think they even specifically state that they were like, those minors being there, having access to things, made them look bad. So they needed to change. Alright? I don't think Sappho has any interest in younger individuals, at least in the sexual sense, but certainly they have some strange proclivities. I mean, I'm sure you saw what some other YouTubers had posted about, like, those therapy sessions that they engage in. You know, hypnosis. There's definitely a sexual component to that in some isolated cases. But the fact that, like, you know, people would refer to her as like a dummy mommy, that she would make them feel good in just the right way, and that she had a very inflated sense of ego in getting people to, like, come and simultaneously, like, yell out her name, like, as they were coming, and that she got some sort of weird gratification from that. Yeah, it's all kind of weird, you know? What I'm just curious about is, how is this going to proceed from here? Obviously, she's going to have this nonprofit organization, charity, that she's going to have to deal with for the better part of her life now. I mean, managing a nonprofit organization where you're actively receiving monetary donations from various people online, don't you think that's going to take a lot of time? That's going to have to require a support network of some sort. And Sappho already is showing me that she's got a lot of time on her hands if she can go to whatever video that happens to talk about her, even mentions her name, and be right there in the comments section writing fucking paragraphs of essays. You know, when I first got that, I was really fucking tempted to post a gif of, like, Bender from Futurama, where, like, the professor throws down the regulations manual, and it's like this thick-ass binder, and Bender just kind of, like, looks at that, is like, bitch, I ain't reading all that shit, summarize it in one word. But that would have just been rude. Granted, do I really need to be pleasant or polite to a dog fucker? I don't think so. I'm not going to actively hope for their, like, you know, harm or anything like that. But once your dox is out there are various cracked people out in society that are not exactly right in the head, you know? In fact, like, there's a lot of, like, hearsay, allegations, and rumors just floating around. I'm more focusing on what I can actually see before me and cross-reference that to Sapphos' behavior and demeanor in the face of all this. Because obviously speculations are not exactly, that's not really a substitute for evidence, you know? Even though various YouTubers out there will try to convince you of that fact. In this case, what I would like to say is that, given everything I know now, at the very least, setting up a nonprofit charity organization for the rights and, you know, basically fighting for zoophiles out there, that's at least one step in facilitating the conditions by which this is going to be normalized. You know, they got a real uphill battle from this point onwards, and I hope this whole thing crashes and burns, like, you know, like so many fucking embers in the sky. But I don't know, like, stranger things have happened. We live in the year 2021. It's almost like Bizarro World. One thing that I couldn't help but notice, though, is that Sappho, when they made that video coming out, and they just came out about who they are, what they are, being a zoophile, dog fucker, supposedly they would have been exposed if they hadn't made that video. Something happened in the prior days that prompted them to make that video where they were coming out. Which leads me to believe that some people were willing to go public with her deep, dark secret. And that she probably wasn't that tight-lipped about it. Supposedly, and you know, some people out in VR chat, I remember talking about it in One World, like openly. I was just like, yeah, Hypnotist Sappho's chick, you know, dog fucker. I remember somebody towards the mirror, I don't remember their name, but I remember they were just like, I don't see any problem with that. Me and my friend just kind of stared at them for 5 minutes. We slowly backed away, being like, you know, caught off guard, and just kind of been like, the fuck? Like, but I'm starting to believe that, as far as normalcy goes, it's rapidly declining, okay? It's gonna be like that Cole Porter song from Fallout 3. Anything goes. So let's fucking hope not, alright? Like, gay rights, trans rights, I fully encourage all that. That was definitely a human rights issue that had been, like, sort of left on the back burner for a long damn time. And Obama basically took credit for the efforts of people that were willing to fight tooth and nail for it. God bless them, but, like, this whole zoophile thing being comparative to the LGBTQ community, no. Them and the pedophiles need to fuck right off and, like, go back to the shadows from whence they came. I'll even be like that conductor from fucking Thomas the Tank. Just be like, I banish thee to the shadow realm.
I'm banishing you to the shadow realm. No!
And, you know, just kind of shrug my shoulders if it happens. But anyway, I think I prattled on around this long enough. I just wanted to let you all know that this is taking place, okay? It's something for you to think about at the very least, but there's people astirring out there, you know, bad, nefarious people that do not have your best interests at heart. They don't have society's best interests at heart, and they want to sort of like change things to suit their perverse desires, as it were, and that your vigilance would be most appreciated right about now, because this is something that's going to prompt a lot of conversations down the road. I think now's the best time to be having those conversations and deciding what's best for all of us rather than the select minor few. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Till next time, guys, take care and peace. I hope you all have a better one.
Go ahead, have some fun.
Hey fellas, thanks for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Would you care to hit that like button and subscribe for more? I'd greatly appreciate it.